Picture a city after a heavy rain. The asphalt glistens, streetlights blur in puddles, and a car passes. But instead of the familiar roar of an engine, you hear only the soft hum of tires. No tailpipe, no visible exhaust, no immediate sign of motion other than the gentle glide ahead. That quiet moment hints at something more than a new car, a shift in how we move. But beneath the surface lies a question that echoes through policy halls and power plants alike. Where does that electricity come from? And does the electric vehicle truly live up to its green promise, or is it a mirage in shiny paint? For more than a century, the internal combustion engine, ICE, has defined the automobile. It brought us speed, freedom, and urban sprawl, but also left a trail of challenges: air pollution, greenhouse gas emissions, noise, and a dependence on finite fossil fuels. As cities choked on smog and nations wrestled with oil geopolitics, it became clear the engine that drove modernity also carried hidden costs. Now, the rise of electric mobility signals a new chapter. With advancements in battery chemistry, software integration, and charging infrastructure, the concept of vehicle as power node is taking hold. But this isn't simply swapping petrol for electrons. It's a systemic shift. And that shift is being driven not only by environmental urgency, but by industrial opportunity, energy security, and digital transformation. At its heart, an electric vehicle, EV, turns the problem of motion into one of energy flow. Instead of an internal combustion engine burning fuel and sending mechanical energy to wheels, you have a battery, an electric motor, and a software-driven system managing the power. The difference in efficiency is staggering. Typical ICE vehicles convert around 25% of fuel energy into motion, the rest lost as heat and noise. By contrast, modern EVs convert over 80% of stored energy into movement. The grid behind the EV matters. According to the 2025 International Energy Agency, IEA, Global EV Outlook, more than 20 million new electric cars are expected to be sold globally in 2025, representing more than 1 in 4 of all new cars. Electric car sales in 2024 surpassed 17 million units, reaching over 20% share of the global car market. But efficiency doesn't equal zero impact. Batteries require mining of lithium, nickel, cobalt. Manufacturing consumes energy. And if the grid is powered by coal, the environmental benefit shrinks. The promise is that as grids decarbonize, EVs become cleaner by default, a compounding effect. The same vehicle, in the same driver's hands, generates fewer emissions simply because the electricity gets cleaner over time. Moreover, EVs aren't just consumers of power, they are participants in it. With vehicle-to-grid (V2G) technologies, cars can feed power back into the grid, smoothing peaks, storing renewable excess, balancing demand. The car becomes a mobile battery. The network becomes smarter. The global EV market is growing faster than ever. According to IEA data, EV sales in 2025 are expected to exceed 20 million units, making up over 25% of all new car sales. The research firm Bloomberg New Energy Finance, BNEF, projects similar numbers. 1 in 4 cars sold globally will be either battery electric, BEV, or plug-in hybrid (FIV) in 2025. China remains the powerhouse. It aims for EVs to make up around 60% of its new car sales in 2025. Outside of China, emerging economies are catching up fast. In the first quarter of 2025, sales in these markets jumped strongly. For example, some regions saw almost 50% growth. Meanwhile, charging infrastructure is scaling up but still lags behind. For instance, one study estimated that a major Chinese city would need 1.4 million charging piles between 2025 and 2030. Battery recycling is advancing too. Some regions now recover over 90% of critical materials, closing the loop. The strategic opportunities are vast. Nations that reduce oil import dependence gain energy security. Automakers and suppliers can leapfrog legacy manufacturing into lighter, software-defined vehicle. New business models emerge: battery swaps, subscription models, vehicle-to-grid services. Urban planners can redesign mobility: fewer individual cars, more shared electrified fleets, cleaner air, quieter street. Environmental gains. With every electric mile, particulate matter emissions drop, city street noise fades, and tailpipe pollutants vanish. In major cities, the adoption of EVs has already delivered tangible air quality improvements. The shift also reduces reliance on oil. In the EEE's base scenario, by 2030, more than 5 million barrels of oil a day will be displaced by electric vehicle use alone. Economic transformation. Vehicles with fewer moving parts demand less maintenance. No oil changes, fewer filters, simpler mechanical systems. Over time, total cost of ownership starts to tilt in favor of EVs, especially for high-mileage urban drivers. For economies, the transition rewrites supply chains. Battery manufacturing, recycling, software services become new pillars. Nations that miss the shift risk being locked into outdated automotive value chains. Societal impacts. Cleaner air means healthier populations, fewer respiratory illnesses, less noise pollution, more livable cities. Electric mobility enables new patterns of transport, shared fleets, on-demand cars, autonomous pods, redefining what mobility means. On the flip side, the shift raises questions. What happens to workers in ICE vehicle production? How do we manage raw material mining impact? And how do we ensure infrastructure isn't only in wealthy districts? No revolution is without friction. The EV transition faces serious headwinds. First, raw material extraction. Lithium, cobalt, nickel often involves environmental disruption and social concerns. Second, charging infrastructure remains uneven. While China leads with a vast network of public chargers, other regions lag, making range anxiety real for many drivers. For example, one study projects a major Chinese city will require over 1.4 million charging points between 2025 and 2030. Third, electricity grids must be upgraded. If a vehicle is charged from coal-heavy grids, the emission benefit erodes. Smart charging, time-of-use pricing, vehicle-to-grid integration are essential. Fourth, manufacturing and recycling systems must mature. Fortunately, recycling technologies now recover over 90% of key materials in some regions. Policy uncertainty also looms. In the US, for instance, the rollback of fuel economy standards and tax credit changes have caused forecasters to revise EV growth downward. Europe faces high energy costs and weaker subsidies, influencing market momentum. All this means the golden opportunity is time-sensitive. Success will hinge on scale, speed, and coordination. Looking ahead, policies and technology converge. The IAA projects that under current policies, EVs could reach over 40% of global passenger vehicle sales by 2030. With declining battery prices, new chemistries, solid-state, sodium-ion, lithium-sulfur, and improved energy density, virtually all segments, from compact cars to large trucks, will see electrification. Smart cities will treat vehicles as moving energy storage. Overnight, your car charges with cheap, renewable electricity. During peak hours, it discharges back, supporting the grid and earning you reward. Fleets of autonomous electric vans deliver goods. Electric buses replace noisy diesel ones. Rural regions pair solar plants with second-life EV batteries for microgrids. And industries will shift. Legacy auto hubs may shrink. Software, data analytics, battery manufacturing, recycling, grid services become the new battlegrounds. Countries that build locally competitive chains will create jobs, reduce dependency, and lead in the next-gen economy. But the future isn't pre-written. Success depends on three critical pillars. One, stable and predictable policy frameworks, so buyers and investors have confidence. Two, scalable, interoperable infrastructure. One standard, one wallet, one network. Three, circular economy for batteries. Mining, use, reuse, recycle, all within sustainable loops. The electric vehicle moment is here, not as a luxury gimmick, but as a structural shift. A shift that intertwines mobility, energy, climate, industry, and infrastructure. For individuals, it means rethinking what your car is, how you power it, and how you think about cost, maintenance, and impact. For nations, it means redefining supply chains, redefining energy independence, and redefining urban life. This isn't about buying the trendiest badge. It's about positioning for a future that is already arriving. The question isn't, can Eva save the planet? The question is, will we live in that future willingly, or will we be pulled into it? The golden opportunity is ours to seize, but only if we choose to step into it.